You ever notice how some things just like explode onto the scene, you haven't heard of it, then boom, it's everywhere?
Hmm.
And we're not talking about just seeing a million commercials. We're diving into buzz marketing today. It's kind of a shortcut, really, to understanding why some stuff just catches on, grabs everyone's attention, often without those huge ad spends.
Exactly. And our mission, if you will, for this deep dive is to really get under the hood of buzz. We've looked at how different companies in the U.S. have played this game that wins the fumbles too.
Right.
And we've distilled it down to 7 key principles that kind of explain how they captured imaginations or, didn't.
Okay, cool. So here's the plan for the session. First, we'll nail down what buzz marketing actually is. Then, the secrets to making your stuff genuinely interesting. Third, how to become that story the news wants to cover. Fourth, some really clever advertising tricks that grab attention. Fifth, pushing boundaries, thinking way outside the usual playbook. Sixth, super important why your product absolutely has to be great. And finally, how you can actually use all this. Sound good?
Let's jump in.
All right, first things first. Buzz marketing. What's the big idea?
Well, simply put, it's about getting people so genuinely excited about what you're doing that they basically become your marketing team. They tell their friends, family, colleagues.
So word of mouth, but like supercharged.
Exactly. Supercharged by real enthusiasm, not just, a paid influencer post. It's fundamentally different. Instead of shouting at people with ads,
Mm-hmm.
you create something so intriguing, so cool, that people are drawn in and crucially want to talk about it themselves.
Okay, that makes sense. And the upsides, what are the real benefits here?
Oh, they're significant. First off, you can get massive awareness without breaking the bank on ads. It's like having an army of free helpers spreading the word.
Yeah, volunteer marketers.
Precisely. And maybe even more importantly, we trust recommendations from people we know. Right. Way more than an ad.
Totally. If my friend raves about something, I listen.
Exactly. So that buzz carries real weight, real credibility, and all that positive chatter. It helps your brand stick. It gives you staying power.
Okay, but what happens if you ignore this, if you don't get buzz marketing?
Well, you can end up just wasting a lot of money on ads that nobody notices, like shouting into the wind, as the source material puts it.
Voice.
Just noise. And in today's super crowded market, if you're not generating that buzz, you just blend in. It's hard to stand out. And the result is usually pretty slow, kind of predictable growth, conventional results when you could be getting something much more exciting.
So give us some real-world examples from the U.S. Who's done this well?
Well, Apple's a classic case, isn't it?
Yes.
Yes, they advertise, but a huge part of their strategy is cultivating that secrecy, that anticipation around launches.
Oh, yeah. The rumors, the
Yeah.
leaks.
Exactly. The sleek designs, the carefully managed reveals. It gets everyone talking, speculating. It's not just launching a product, it's an event.
That anticipation thing is powerful.
Hugely powerful.
Sure.
Then you've got, say, Ben& Jerry's. It wasn't just about the ice cream, which is great, obviously, but they built this brand with a really distinct personality, strong values. People connected with that. It gave them something more to talk about than just, chocolate chip cookie dough.
A reason to choose them.
Right. And then the really standout example maybe is half.com, asking a town to literally rename itself half.com, Oregon.
I remembered that. So weird.
Totally weird, but so unexpected, so audacious that it became instant news. You couldn't not talk about it. It was brilliant, really.
Okay, so who maybe missed the boat?
Well, think about those generic tech companies.
Yeah.
They release stuff, but there's no fanfare, no real excitement built up like Apple manages.
Just another phone, another laptop.
Pretty much. Or like standard ice cream brands that only talk about flavors or price.
Yeah.
They don't have that unique story or mission like Ben& Jerry's, so they don't get that same kind of passionate following.
Right. And remember all those early .coms. Before half.com did their thing, loads of them offered similar stuff, but did nothing remarkable to stand out, just existed online.
Yeah, they just blended in. So the takeaway for anyone listening,
What should they do?
find what's genuinely unique about your thing. What's the core difference? And then, think creatively. How can you spark curiosity in unexpected ways? That lemonade stand with a secret flavor. It's small, but it adds intrigue. Gives people a little story to tell.
Okay, makes sense. So foundation laid. Now, how do we actually make our stuff interesting enough for people to want to buzz about it? The source talks about 6 magic buttons.
Ah, yes, the magic buttons. These are basically triggers, categories of things that just tend to grab our attention and make us want to share.
Let's hear them.
Okay, so you've got The taboo.
A little edgy, maybe. Not offensive, but pushes boundaries slightly.
Exactly. Then, the unusual, something totally unexpected. The outrageous, bold, maybe even a bit shocking. The hilarious, straightforward, makes people laugh.
Okay.
The remarkable, genuinely impressive, jaw-dropping stuff. And finally, secrets, things that are exclusive, hidden, revealed surprisingly.
Got it. Taboo, unusual, outrageous, hilarious, remarkable, secret.
Mm-hmm. And when you tap into one or more of these, you make your offering way more memorable. We remember things that trigger emotions, right? Surprise, laughter, curiosity.
Sure.
And that interest becomes buzz currency. It gives
Yeah.
people something inherently cool or funny or weird to share. It makes you stand out from all the, well, the boring stuff.
And if you don't push these buttons,
Well, you risk being just. Another thing. Nothing special. People won't have a reason to mention you in conversation. That organic word of mouth just won't happen.
which means more ad spending.
Probably.
Mhm.
A much heavier reliance on paid advertising, which is often less effective and definitely more expensive.
Okay, examples. How have companies used these buttons?
All right, remember French's potato sticks? Hiring comedians dressed as giant potato sticks.
Haha, yeah, vaguely.
That's pure. Hilarious.
Yeah.
It's weird, visually funny, creates a story. People would definitely say, you'll never guess what I saw.
Creates that little shareable moment. What else?
Overweightdate.com. The name itself is super unusual. It stops you in your tracks, makes you curious, maybe even raises an eyebrow. It starts conversations, even if it's just about the name itself.
Definitely a conversation starter.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And Gmail's initial launch invitation only, that played the secrets card perfectly.
Right, it made it feel exclusive.
Exactly. Created desire, made early users feel like insiders, generated huge buzz before it was even widely available.
Okay, contrast that. Who missed these tricks?
Think about really serious food brands.
Mm.
They might focus only on nutrition facts. Important, sure, but they often miss chances for humor or surprise. People aren't sharing excitement about fiber content usually.
Fair point.
Or standard dating sites. Generic names, standard features. Nothing like overweightdate.com's provocative angle to spark curiosity or give people a talking point.
Yeah, they just blend together.
Mm-hmm. And those pre-Gmail email services.
Yeah.
Many just launched. No surprise, no exclusivity, nothing remarkable, just another option. So no real buzz.
So, for listeners, how do they apply this?
It's about brainstorming. How can you inject fun, surprise, that wow factor? Doesn't have to be crazy outrageous, just something that makes people go, huh, that's neat, and maybe share it.
Like the tutoring service with a secret tip.
Exactly. Adds mystery, provides something valuable and shareable to an otherwise maybe routine service, a little nugget that they can pass on.
Okay, interesting stuff. Now, how do you get more people talking? Like, amplify it.
Yeah.
Let's talk about getting the news involved, becoming newsworthy. Why is media attention such a big deal for buzz?
Oh, it's huge. Media coverage gives you access to a massive audience that's already paying attention. Plus, and this is key, news stories tend to have way more credibility than ads.
Right, people trust the news more, generally.
Generally, yes. So, getting covered by a reputable outlet, it's like a massive, trusted endorsement. It validates you and amplifies your message incredibly effectively. Way more reach than you could likely afford through ads alone.
Makes sense. It's like a credibility boost and a megaphone rolled into one.
Mm-hmm.
What's the downside if you don't get media attention?
Well, you're missing out on that huge, credible platform. Simple as that. Your message doesn't spread as far or have the same perceived authority. You're stuck relying on your own, often slower promotion efforts.
Okay, examples of companies nailing the newsworthy angle.
Half.com again. That town renaming stunt was tailor-made for news. It was unusual, a bit quirky, had that human interest angle. Reporters couldn't resist it.
It was a story.
Exactly. That novelty factor is often key. Or think about ClearPlay, the company that took on the movie studios over filtering content.
Oh yeah, the legal battle.
Right. That classic David and Goliath story, small company versus industry giants, is inherently newsworthy. It attracts media interest and often public sympathy.
True. Any others?
Screensavers.com was clever. They tied their product screensavers to trending celebrity news, offered related polls, data.
Piggybacking on existing trends.
Precisely. They made themselves relevant to what the media was already covering. Smart way to get mentions.
So who struggles with this?
Well, startups that launch without a compelling story. Just another app, another service. If there's no interesting narrative, the media often isn't interested.
Too boring for news.
Basically. And companies that are super cautious, afraid of any controversy, they might miss chances to do something bold that would grab headlines. Sometimes calculated risks pay off in media attention.
Right. And if you just ignore what's happening in the world.
Yeah, brands that don't connect their stuff to current events miss out. They're not part of the ongoing conversation, so the media has no reason to include them.
So how can listeners become more newsworthy? What's the action step?
Look for the unusual angles in your story. Is there anything potentially controversial in a good way, thought-provoking, anything inspiring?
Find the hook.
Find the hook and think about current events. How does what you do connect? Even a local business, like that bookstore example, hosting a talk on a trending book, that makes them relevant, potentially interesting to local news.
Okay, interesting. Now let's talk advertising. Not the boring kind, but the cool, creative stuff that actually gets noticed. Why is this approach so vital now?
Because we're just drowning in ads, aren't we? If your ad isn't creative or attention-grabbing, it's just invisible, skipped, ignored
Filtered out.
completely. Creative advertising breaks through that clutter. It gets your message seen, and sometimes the ad itself can become buzzworthy. People share funny or clever ads.
Right. The ad becomes the content.
Exactly. So you get way more bang for your buck. Better return on your ad spend.
And the alternative, not being creative.
Your ads just blend into the background noise.
Yeah.
Skipped, fast-forwarded, scrolled past. It's basically wasted money on ineffective tactics. You're not cutting through.
Okay, who did this creative ad thing well?
The source mentions Burma Shave. Remember those roadside signs?
Yeah.
Little rhymes spread across several signs.
Oh, yeah. My grandparents talked about those.
Super unusual for the time. Made driving fun, turned ads into entertainment. People actually looked forward to them.
Brilliant. Using the medium differently.
Totally. And Half.com, again, ads on peanut bags. So unexpected. A clutter-free space, as they put it, made people notice and talk.
Definitely memorable. Anyone else?
Totally awesome computers. Del Shanse, the owner, did these outrageous, sometimes brutally honest radio ads.
Yeah, those were something else.
Definitely attention-grabbing, maybe not for everyone, but you remember the company, right? They were boring.
No, definitely not boring. So who gets this wrong?
Think about, like, generic, local businesses running the same old, predictable newspaper ad week after week. Nothing stands out.
Seen one, seen them all.
Exactly. Or companies stuck in the past, ignoring creative possibilities on new platforms, just doing the same old TV spots.
Right, and we've all seen those bland, forgettable commercials, right? Just wallpaper, total waste of airtime. Companies making those are just throwing money away.
People
Yeah.
tune them out instantly.
So how can listeners be more creative with their ads?
Think unconventionally. Where are your customers really spending time? How can you reach them unexpectedly? Can you use humor, a unique location, create content people actually want to see?
Like the pizza place making funny delivery driver videos?
Perfect example. Use entertainment, personality. Make the ad itself something worth watching or sharing. Don't just sell, engage.
Okay, cool. So we've got interesting offerings, clever ads. Now let's push it further. Thinking really creatively, going big, being awesome. Why is this level of thinking so important for major buzz?
Because that's where the truly unique, hard-to-copy breakthroughs happen. When you think way outside the box, you can become a real leader in buzz. You grab massive attention, media focus. It sets you completely apart.
It's about creating something truly remarkable.
Exactly. And it can lead to exciting reinvention, stuff you wouldn't stumble upon with just, incremental improvements.
And if you don't think this way, if you stay conventional,
You'll likely get, conventional results, average. You won't stand out, won't be truly memorable. You miss those big growth leaps that come from genuine creative sparks.
okay, examples of going big and awesome.
Pepsi Challenge. Classic. So bold. Directly taking on Coke in public taste tests. Got everyone talking, forced people to reconsider their choice. Huge buzz.
Right, shook things up.
Definitely. Or RIT dye. They didn't just sell dye, they saw the whole tie-dye trend, embraced it, even partnered with the Girl Scouts.
Linking it to a cultural movement. Smart.
Super smart, found a whole new massive use for their product. And Mini Cooper, launching in the US. Tiny budget compared to rivals, right? But those visuals, the Mini on top of an SUV, instantly communicate small, fun, different, genius, low-cost, high-impact creativity, generated massive talk.
David versus Goliath marketing. Love it. Who didn't do this?
Well, before the Pepsi Challenge, other cola brands mostly did similar lifestyle ads. No direct challenges, no real disruption.
Sticking to the script.
Yep. And other dye companies, before RIT jumped on tie-dye, they just focused on traditional uses, missed that huge cultural wave.
And other small cars before Mini?
Many just tried to outspend the big guys on normal ads, which they couldn't really afford. Didn't find those unique, talkable angles like Mini did.
So how how do listeners embrace this go big thinking?
Don't shut down wild ideas too quickly. Brainstorm the what-ifs, even the stuff that seems impossible or crazy.
Like the world record cookie bakery?
Exactly. That kind of audacious goal, even if local, gets attention. It's about daring to push boundaries and try things that haven't been done before. That's where the magic often lies.
Okay, makes sense. Dare to be different. Now, we've talked a lot about getting attention, being creative, but there's a crucial piece we haven't fully hit yet. The actual thing you're selling. Making sure your product or service is genuinely great. Why is this non-negotiable?
Because, honestly, all the buzz in the world is useless, actually. It can backfire if the product itself sucks.
Right. Hype needs substance.
Absolutely. A great product is the foundation. It leads to real recommendations from happy customers. That's the best marketing there is. It prevents negative buzz, which spreads like wildfire and builds loyalty. It's the engine. Without it, the buzzmobile stalls.
Yeah, because if people get excited by the buzz, try your thing, and it's bad.
They'll tell everyone.
Yeah.
That initial excitement turns into disappointment, maybe even anger. And negative word of mouth is incredibly damaging. All your marketing effort, wasted. You can't build a strong brand on letdowns.
So who exemplifies this focus on quality?
Apple, again, yes, slick marketing. But fundamentally, their long-term success rests on products people find well-designed, easy to use, reliable. People like using them, so they talk positively.
True. The product delivers.
Or Nordstrom, famous for amazing customer service, right? Those stories of employees going the extra mile, that creates incredible buzz and fierce loyalty, all built on the experience being great.
Good point. It's not just the physical product.
Exactly. And Gmail, the invite system created buzz, sure. But it stuck around because it was a better email service, reliable, innovative, offered more storage back then. The quality was there.
Okay, examples of failure here. When the product didn't match the buzz.
Oh, plenty. Think of software launched with huge hype but full of bugs. Crashes all the time.
Ugh, yeah. Frustrating.
Totally. Users get mad, tell everyone online, initial buzz evaporates, or business is known for terrible customer service. Doesn't matter how clever their ads are, people share the bad experiences.
Right. The reality kills the marketing.
And products that just don't live up to the promises. Overhyped, underdelivered, customers feel cheated and spread the word. Disappointment travels fast.
So the crucial takeaway for listeners on product quality.
Prioritize it above everything. Constantly seek feedback, listen to your customers, fix problems quickly, aim to exceed expectations.
Make them happy.
Make them genuinely happy. Satisfied customers are your best buzz agents, the most credible ones you'll ever have. Even that lemonade stand example, fresh ingredients, friendly service, those basics matter hugely for the experience people share.
Okay, wow. We have covered a ton of ground here. Understanding buzz, making stuff interesting, getting news coverage, creative ads, thinking big, and the absolute necessity of a great product. Let's wrap this up. You really can do this.
Absolutely. These 7 principles, they're not a rigid checklist, but more like a powerful way to think. A framework for generating real organic excitement around whatever you're doing, your idea, your project, your business.
Yeah, it's about understanding what makes people tick, what grabs their attention, what makes them want to share.
Exactly. So we really hope you'll take these ideas and just, mull them over. Think about how they apply to your world.
Right. How can you push those magic buttons for what you're working on? Is there a newsworthy angle you haven't considered? Could you advertise or promote it differently, more creatively?
Where can you really push the boundaries? Think bigger. And maybe most importantly, how can you double down on making sure your core offering is truly fantastic, truly valuable?
It definitely takes some guts sometimes, right? To step off the beaten path and try something new, maybe a bit risky.
It does. But as we've seen with all these examples, that's often where the real magic happens. That's where you create that genuine engagement that standard methods just can't touch.
Okay, so final challenge for everyone listening. A provocative thought to leave you with. What's one unexpected thing, could be small, could be bigger, that you could do, maybe even starting today, to generate some buzz around something you care about?
Yeah, something maybe not explicitly covered here, but that builds on these principles. Something designed purely to get people talking in a positive way.
What's that one move? Give it some real thought.
It's all about creating that first ripple. What's your unexpected action?
Awesome stuff. Thanks so much for digging into this with us today.
Great conversation.
We'll catch you next time for another deep dive. You ever notice how some things just like explode onto the scene, you haven't heard of it, then boom, it's everywhere? And we're not talking about just seeing a million commercials. We're diving into buzz marketing today. It's kind of a shortcut, really, to understanding why some stuff just catches on, grabs everyone's attention, often without those huge ad spends.
Exactly. And our mission, if you will, for this deep dive is to really get under the hood of buzz. We've looked at how different companies in the U.S. have played this game, the wins, the fumbles too.
Right.
And we've distilled it down to 7 key principles that kind of explain how they captured imaginations or, didn't.
Okay, cool. So here's the plan for the session. First, we'll nail down what buzz marketing actually is. Then, the secrets to making your stuff genuinely interesting. Third, how to become that story the news wants to cover. Fourth, some really clever advertising tricks that grab attention. Fifth, pushing boundaries, thinking way outside the usual playbook. Sixth, super important why your product absolutely has to be great. And finally, how you can actually use all this. Sound good?
Let's jump in.
All right, first things first. Buzz marketing. What's the big idea?
Well, simply put, it's about getting people so genuinely excited about what you're doing that they basically become your marketing team. They tell their friends, family, colleagues.
So word of mouth, but like supercharged.
Exactly. Supercharged by real enthusiasm, not just, a paid influencer post. It's fundamentally different. Instead of shouting at people with ads, you create something so intriguing, so cool, that people are drawn in and, crucially, want to talk about it themselves.
Okay, that makes sense. And the upsides, what are the real benefits here?
Oh, they're significant. First off, you can get massive awareness without breaking the bank on ads. It's like